The men who spent hundreds of millions of dollars to put Trump in power are about to collect, and you are paying for it. Trump just submitted a $1.7 trillion military budget request, and I'm going to show you exactly who is getting paid. Then I'm going to show you how $350 billion of this budget is moving through Congress with almost no oversight, and what happened the last time they tried that. Now, in my last video, I showed you how the war with Iran is making Trump's inner circle rich. This is the next chapter. So let's get into it. Trump just submitted a military budget request for $1.7 trillion. Now, $1 trillion is hard to picture, so let me put it this way. That same amount of money could fund a free childcare program for every single child in the United States for 26 years straight. 26 years. And here's the thing. Around the same time this budget was submitted, Trump was caught at a private luncheon that was accidentally live-streamed on YouTube. And this is what he had to say.
It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection.
His words accidentally recorded, publicly posted. $1.7 trillion for the military, zero for your kids. Now, the contrast right there, that's what this episode is about. Because when you look at where some of this money is actually being requested to go, it stops looking like a defense budget pretty quickly. Stay with me here. Buried inside this budget request is funding for something called the Golden Dome. The Golden Dome is a space-based missile defense system that Trump announced in May 2025. He said it would cost $175 billion and be done before the end of his term. It has already gone up to $185 billion, and the Pentagon now says it will not be operational until at least the year 2035. But here's the part that should make you stop. Scientists say it will not work. To defend against just one single missile, scientists say that they would need at least 1,600 satellites in orbit. But what if an enemy decides to launch 10 missiles at the same time? You would need 40,000 satellites. Let's put some perspective on that number. Right now, there are about 13,000 active satellites orbiting the entire planet total, from every country on Earth combined. This Golden Dome would need 3 times that amount just to protect the United States only from 10 missiles. And it gets even better. Even then, it could still be defeated by cheap decoys. The White House budget document actually admits this. It says that the goal is not for a perfect defense. So why are we even building it? Let's look at who would get paid. These are some names that you're probably going to recognize. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Peter Thiel, one of Silicon Valley's most powerful billionaires, and Palmer Luckey, founder of Oculus Rift, the virtual reality company that Facebook bought for more than $2 billion. Now, let me tell you what each of them gave Trump and what they're about to get in return. Elon Musk spent over $250 million supporting Trump in the 2024 election. His company, SpaceX, is expected to receive $2 billion to develop satellites for the Golden Dome. And that's just the first payment, because this system will eventually need hundreds, possibly thousands of satellites. Then there's Peter Thiel. He founded a data company called Palantir, which is one of the biggest government contractors in the country. Here's where it gets interesting. Vice President J.D. Vance used to work for Thiel, and Thiel donated $15 million to J.D. Vance's Senate campaign. Palantir is now expected to develop the software that runs the entire Golden Dome, the system that connects all the radars and sensors together. Palmer Luckey donated over $1.1 million to Trump's campaigns and also hosted a fundraiser with tickets priced at $150,000. His company, Anduril, is partnering with Palantir on that same software contract. And then there's Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, one of the wealthiest people on this planet. Bezos also runs a space company called Blue Origin. He spent the last year working to get on Trump's good side, including turning the Washington Post, which he owns, in a more conservative direction. So now Trump calls him a good guy. And Blue Origin is expected to compete for Golden Dome satellite contracts. So let's be clear about what this is. These men spent hundreds of millions of dollars to put Trump in office. Trump is now requesting hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars for a project that scientists say will not work, and the people being paid to build it are the exact people who funded his campaign. This is a return on investment. And now here's the part of the story that almost nobody is talking about. It is really important for you to pay attention. Of the $1.7 trillion that Trump is requesting, $350 billion, including nearly all of the funding for the Golden Dome, is going through a process called budget reconciliation instead of the normal appropriations process. I know that's a lot of really boring words, so let me explain what this means in plain language. Normally, military spending goes through a very detailed and long bipartisan process. Every single dollar gets tied to a specific program. Democrats have a say, Republicans have a say, and the public has some visibility into where the money is going. Budget reconciliation is completely different. It moves fast, it doesn't require Democratic support, and it doesn't require the same level of detail about where the money is going, which means that $350 billion will move through Congress with almost no oversight. And by the way, this is not the first time that they've done this. Last year, Trump passed $150 billion in military spending through budget reconciliation. And part of that $150 billion, $2.9 billion, was specifically set aside for military housing allowances. Money meant to help military families pay their rent. And here's what happened with that money. Trump pulled almost all of it. He used $2.6 billion of it to send checks for $1,776 called warrior dividends to service members. Now, you're thinking, a check sounds nice. Think about what actually happened here. The U.S. military has about 1.3 million active duty service members. A one-time check of $1,776 does nothing to replacing a year of housing support for a military family. And that number, 1776, the year of the Declaration of Independence, was not chosen by accident. It was chosen for the photo opportunity. Military families lost their housing money, so Trump could hand out a politically branded check. And that's not all. For months, nobody knew where $60 billion of that same $150 billion was going because it was classified. The Pentagon refused to tell Congress how it planned to spend $60 billion of the money Congress had just given it. When it was finally declassified in late February, another problem came up. Congress had intended some of that money to be spent over 5 years. The Pentagon decided to spend all $150 billion in a single year. And this is what happens when there's no oversight. And now Trump wants to give them, the Pentagon, $350 billion more dollars through the same process to the Pentagon, which has failed every single audit Congress has required since 2018. Every single one. The Pentagon would receive $350 billion more with almost no strings attached. And by the way, this is not an accident. This is by design. So here's the picture when you step back. Trump told us there's no money for our kids. There's no money for healthcare. There's no money for anything that helps Americans. But he submitted a budget request for $1.7 trillion for the military. And $350 billion of that money is moving through a process with almost no oversight, the same process that already let military families lose their housing support for a politically branded check. And a big chunk of that money is going to build a missile defense system that scientists say will not work, being built by the exact people who funded Trump's campaign. This country needs a strong military. Nobody's arguing that. But a $1.7 trillion request flowing to campaign donors with almost no oversight? That's not national defense. That's corruption. And by the way, I have put all the sources in the description so you can see the receipts for yourself. The people who designed this budget are counting on you to not pay attention. So here's something you can do right now. Call your members of Congress. The Capitol switchboard number is 202-224-3121. Give them your name, your zip code, and tell them that you want oversight on this military budget. That's it. That's how this works, and now you know.